Tendency to knock things over and to be violent and destructive, so I'm going to move things off the stage before I make a fool out of myself. My name is Ben Goldstien, and even though it says Watchmen on the wall, I do tend to talk in tangents. Like a ping pong ball, my thoughts kind of go in different places. And I believe it's probably because I live a very dynamic life. In Israel, life goes directly through your heart and soul. A year and a half ago, I was standing over the body of a very close friend of mine, and I'm going to cry all day today, so bear with me. And I can't even say this without it. Who was stabbed in the back twice, almost in front of my eyes. And all I wanted to do when I got out of my patrol vehicle was shoot the terrorist right in the head, who was looking up at me and smiling and saying Allahu Akbar with a knife next to his hand, as my friend was lying there dying in the hills of Judah, in King David's backyard. I have to share that with this. This came out of the hands of the terrorist who ran over two teenagers directly in front of my community. He had this in one hand, and he had a butcher knife in the other. He ran into them as they were walking down the street in front of my home, knocked their bodies 50 yards into the mountain. They were lying there unconscious, dying. His car had flipped over after hitting them. And as he crawls out with a butcher knife and a flag of terror and genocide in his hand, a police officer walked up behind him and put a bullet in the back of his head. Welcome to my neighborhood. Israel, if any of you have been, is without a question one of the most peaceful and magnificent places in the world. You can go from north to south, from west to east. You can go with church groups. And when I say it is the most magnificent place, I know I'm in Texas, and that rubs on people. But I can tell you, without any question, and I am biased, because we mentioned wives, we mentioned families, I am madly in love with Israel. To where the dirt on my shoes is the holiest spot in this room. The dirt on my shoes is the same dirt that David walked his flock on, that Jesus was born on. I live in between Bethlehem, Hebron, and Jerusalem. Imagine waking up every day and seeing that. And imagine losing faith, like we all do. Every single one of us. Raise your hand if you lose faith on occasion. And I despise the word faith, godliness. We look at a woman walking down the street. We are removing godliness from our lives. We do the wrong thing. We say the wrong words. We hurt one of our brothers. We destroy our children. We spit on our wives. And we remove big old chunks of godliness from the world. So all I have to do, because I'm very blessed to live in Israel, when I lose faith, I step outside, I see an F-16I with the Star of David emblazoned underneath her wings, and I witness the impossible every single day. For how else can the Jewish nation still be alive? My wife is from Poland, born and raised. I'm a redneck Jew from Tennessee, born and raised, third generation. I meet my wife in Florida. We're both working like little slaves at this resort where very wealthy people come during Passover. They plop down tens of thousands of dollars to eat good food and not have to clean up their home for the Passover holiday. I was working in the kitchen. She was a babysitter. She sits down next to me and we're talking. Of course, I had no ulterior motives whatsoever. And I thought she was Russian, and I just want the conversation to go, so I'm like, where are you from? And she says, in a beautiful sing-song voice, I'm from Poland. And that was weird. You don't see too many young Jewish girls from Poland these days, because Uncle Adolf made certain to wipe out 6 million of us. 6 million of my DNA, including my own family. Including the woman who was sitting right across from me, who I didn't know at the time. I'd have 4 children living in the hills of Judea with her. All I knew was that there was a beautiful, European, magnificent sing-song voice like a bird. An angel was walking past, and I'm letting the opportunity go. Not me. I'm not the biggest conversationalist, but I certainly know how to draw her in. And she sits down, she says she's from Poland. I said, that's really interesting. Were you born Jewish? I don't care if you converted. It's rare to see a 20-year-old Jewish woman. She said, yeah. My mother was left as a baby in the town square in her village as the Nazis were marching my family out to shoot them in the head in the forest. And my mother, she said, sat there for a week. And a German soldier in Nazi-occupied Poland came by every day and scooped up this Jewish baby at the risk of death. And he fed her milk. And at the end of the day, he'd put her down. Every single night for weeks, nobody would take this screaming, malnourished, almost dead Jewish baby in, because they would risk death by the Nazis. Eventually, that German soldier had to rotate out, and another German took his place. And he scooped up the baby, and he was taking care of her. And when I'm hearing this story, I'm like, this is phenomenal. Like, this is so hot. In every way it should be. In the godliness way. We laugh at it. But in reality, to think about German soldiers scooping up a Jewish baby in Nazi-occupied Poland is impossible. So then I asked her the next question, because I didn't want the conversation to go away. I said, so where are you from in Poland? And she said, I'm from a small town called Węgrzów. You've never heard of it. And I said, you're right. I started agreeing with my wife early. I said, I've never heard of it. And I said, but is that where your mama is from? And she turned to me and she said, my mother is from, like, imagine this room, imagine a speck of dirt on the wall. That's the size of the village her mother is from in Poland. There's no way I've ever heard of it. And I don't want this conversation to end, so I say, come on, tell me. She said, well, my mother is from, and when she said the name of the town, I almost fell out of my chair and died. Her mother and my grandmother are from the same tiny town in Poland. The impossibilities that run through our lives, it isn't the Matrix. It isn't, wow, that's crazy. Or none of us would be sitting here if we weren't a congregation of godly men. So what is the crazy in this world? Is it that two people, a redneck Jew from Memphis and a Polish girl, can meet in Boca Raton, Florida, completely randomly? Or did God set our souls aside? Or did maybe we were about to get married, and maybe the Nazis killed us? But guess what? You know what Watchmen on the wall means to me? As the Nazis burned our family, and I see my own friends being killed by that same Nazism today. It's just a different type of thing called jihadism, which you saw on 9/11. I live with, and I stand up against. And I'll be damned if I'm going to allow one man or one woman to cross that line. And how many of you, stand up if you can, if you can't, just raise your arms. How many of you right now, would stand up and let your blood flow and sink in the dirt of the land that you live in? Right now, stand up. Be honest. And every single one of you need to stand up right now, because your brother's standing up. And if you're not willing to stand in front of your brother and to take the knife and to take the bullet, but even more importantly than dying for your brother, what is more important than dying for your brother? Living for your brother. Being alive for your family. Sure, I'll step in front of a shotgun blast for my kids. Sure, I'll stand in front of a jihadist killer for my children. Absolutely. You don't believe me yet? Come join me in Israel. I'll show you what I mean. Sit down, please. The impossibility of where I live, the impossibility of being surrounded by a billion people who live their entire life based on the logo you see, an entire amalgamation of clans throughout the Middle East who don't even say death to Israel. They say it's Vachin el Yahud, death to the Jew. And guess who's next? You. You infidels! Get on your knees or I'll cut your head off. Bow down to what I tell you to do or I will execute you and your family. You willing to do that? Or are you willing to stand up and fight for what you believe in? What has happened to the man with the sword on his side? Where are we? What have we become as men? I walk in the grocery store and I can say this, I am American and I will gladly go to battle shoulder to shoulder to protect this land with you. And I know my Christian brothers would gladly come and join me and fight shoulder to shoulder in the land of Israel because that is where our DNA intersects. And I'm in this country and I go to the grocery store and I walk past somebody and all I hear is, excuse me, sorry, excuse me, sorry, excuse me. And I'm wondering, why are you all apologizing when I cross in front of you at the grocery store? It's a normal, natural human interaction. And then you go to Israel. Everybody's knocking each other over. The 92-year-old Holocaust survivor is knocking you down in line to get in front, just to be first. They're honking at you. They're rude. They seem to be impossible to deal with. And then you breathe. And then you remember. I have brothers. I have a sister. When I pass them in the hallway, I don't say, excuse me. I just walk right past them. In that same scenario, that same person who's knocking me down to get to the front of the line, if I get knocked down in public, all of them are coming to lift me up. And I feel in America, what I'm seeing is a massive divide of brothers. And the lack of unity will kill every single one of you. Take that on a macro level, take it on a micro level in your home. The lack of unity with your family will destroy you. That's why we have a 75% plus divorce rate here. That's why I've seen 3 divorces in my family before I was even married. That's why I've never seen my parents kiss or hug once, because they were divorced since the age of 3. So why the heck would I want to get married? It's insanity. Modern marriage doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Because everybody's in it for themselves. And I've explained this to Varric once. Beautiful within Judaism. Letters have numbers. Letters have a certain dynamic that they don't have in other languages. Now bear with me for a second. The word for man in Hebrew is aleph. That's like an A, the first letter of the alphabet. The second letter is yud. And the last letter is shin. 3 different letters. The word for woman in Hebrew is aleph, just like the man. Same first letter. But the second letter in the woman's name is shin, not yud. And I'll explain this a little slower in a second. And the last letter in the woman's name is hey. Aleph, shin, hey. The man has aleph, yud, shin. And what's very interesting about those 2 words in Hebrew, man, woman, what they both have inside of them is a yud in the man's name. Aleph, yud, shin. And a hey, the last letter, the ha at the end, isha for woman. Aleph, shin, hey. Yud, hey. Anybody hear the word Jehovah? Yeah. You know where it comes from? It's Yud, Hey, Vav, Hey. It's spelled like that. That is the godly name. That in Judaism, we don't pronounce it out of respect for God. We say Adonai, or we say Hashem. We don't even say the name of God in a way that might be disrespectful. But what's amazing about the 2 words is that Ish and Isha, if you remove the Yud from the man's name, and you remove the Hey from the woman's name, there's 1 word left for both of them. Aish. Aish means fire. When you remove godliness from a relationship between man and wife, husband and wife, when God is removed, when the Yud and the Hey, when Jehovah is removed from that relationship, you are only left with destruction and fire. Nothing is taken for granted within Judaism. Nothing. And I'm going to say this out loud because this is me. When I see a Bible, and I'm a Jew, when I see a Bible on the floor, it makes me want to throw up. If I drop a Jewish Bible on the floor, every child knows this. Kiss it. That is God's word. God's word will not be where my feet tread. As Moses walks up to the bush, what did God instruct him? You are on holy ground. Remove your shoes. So I have the honor, I have the privilege of being a tiny little part, a teeny little cog within a massive machine of tens of thousands of hard men and women who are right now doing what I want to do. I don't want to be leaving Israel. I don't want to leave my country. I don't want to leave my borders. I despise leaving that land. I am completely disconnected when I leave. Right now, I should be blessing my children at the Shabbat table, at the Sabbath table. But I am not. Right now, I should be leading on to what you were saying about a woman of valor. Every single Friday night, in every single home surrounding me, by the tens of thousands, we sing a song. Eshet Chayil Nimtza, woman of valor, who can find? And we sing it to our wives. It's poetry. It's beauty. It's showing your woman, showing the woman who is the mother of your children, showing the matriarch of the family that she is valued, that we respect you, that we love you, and that we are willing to stand up for you. Because what I do know, in the region that I live, you learn real quickly that you are either the shepherd or you are the sheep. Not all of us are meant to be natural-born leaders at all. But each and every one of us has it within us to face the challenges that we are thrown our way, or God himself, in his graciousness and in his mercy, would never test us with the test that he throws our way. Because God only tests the righteous. So when you do feel like you're being tested, know it's a godly test. And know that you can pass it. But even more so, when you find yourself sinking, when you find yourself stepping into your own feeling of lack of self-confidence, where is God? Right now, if I just scream, God is dead. Where's the lightning? Where is it? So tell me, prove to me God's alive. Come on. Anybody? Anybody have proof that God's alive? Does anybody see God right now? The only answer is yes. I see it in you. I see it big time in you. And Watchmen on the wall has nothing to do with guns. Any idiot can shoot a gun. Watchmen on the wall has nothing to do with muscles. Any one of us can go to the gym and pump up muscles. We are taught, Eile berechev ve'eile besusim v'anachnu b'shem Hashem naskir. Let them rely on their war chariots. Let them rely on their weapons. Let them rely on their muscles. We rely on God alone. And only through God, as we leave Egypt as slaves with Pharaoh's special forces hounding us, threatening to throw us back to another 200 years of slavery, we reach the sea. What do? Now what, Moses? Thanks. You led us into our death. Two men stepped forward. And they kept stepping forward until the water was up to their knees, until the water was up to their waist, and nothing happened. And they turned around and they said, this isn't working. Guess who shoved them forward? Their wives. Their wives said, have faith. Go. And as soon as they went up to where the water was to the point where they couldn't breathe anymore, that's what God was waiting for. To when they were at their lowest. To when they showed the ultimate in faith to God Almighty by stepping as much into that water as possible to where death was the next step. And every single one of us has felt that in our lives. And every single one of us will continue to feel that in our lives. But when I come here and I sit in room 1911, which is the coolest name for a room in the world. Last night. Yeah. And he's almost 45, too. And I see leaders that I don't know. And I'm not standing up here high and mighty. I don't know you. You hardly know me. But when I see people who I've known them by this digital footprint, or I've known them through a WhatsApp message or through a Facebook post, and then I see real godliness in one room, people bowing their heads, people respecting each other, people respecting the spoken word to the point where one of the overriding aspects of what I heard last night was, be careful what you say. And then it brought me back like nothing, as if it was yesterday, my bar mitzvah in Israel when we're 13. And my grandfather, may he rest in peace, who's buried in Jerusalem, he turned to me and he said the same exact thing. Ben, I know you like guns and I know you're into that, but you have to realize, as soon as a word leaves your lips, you cannot call it back. And I have this time warp from my grandfather teaching me that in Israel during my bar mitzvah, a time that was one of the most impactful periods of my life that led me to being a warrior for Israel in my own way, to all of a sudden sitting around hundreds of Christian men as the lone Jew in the room, which, by the way, I have direct DNA to Jesus himself. Think about it. Yeah. But to be around people that get it, especially after 2,000 years of distrust and hatred and murder between Christians and Jews, now we are all finding ourselves as one underneath the house of the Lord, using Israel as that mutual base of understanding and appreciation so we can lock arms like we did this morning and we can take one step at a time into the future. To be a watchman on the wall starts in your soul. You could not be a part of King David's Giborim, the strongest and bravest of his warriors, his crack troops. You couldn't even get in if you weren't completely spiritually pure. That's the first thing they looked for. Because the physical will break, the mind will break. But if you are like Judah the Maccabee, you heard of Judah the Maccabee? And if you are like his brother, Eleazar is my community, named after Judah Maccabee's brother, where all the wars between the Maccabees and the Greeks took place. Judah the Maccabee, you've all seen the movie 300, right? Judah the Maccabee was the original guerrilla warrior. He would draw the Greeks into the valleys, my backyard, in their heavy armor, and as they come in, he would attack them guerrilla style, take their weapons, and they'd be gone before they knew it. And these Jewish rebels were crushing the Greek army, just like we did in the Warsaw Ghetto when our backs were pushed up against the wall. We were crushing them, equal to the 20-something-year-olds in the 1700s here in this great land who turned to the King of England and said, we're going to have independence whether you like it or not. Judah the Maccabee and his brothers and 800 of the most righteous fighters stood up against the most powerful nation on earth at the time. And they were crushing them until one point, the emperor, or the head of the army at the time, said, we got to do something drastic. So they called in battle elephants. From the four corners of the world, they brought in battle elephants. And the Jews had never seen elephants before. They're not indigenous to Israel. Definitely not battle elephants. And a core group of crack troops, special forces, the best you will ever see. They started to break ranks and run. And Eleazar, God rest his soul and God avenge his blood, he knew that the power of the nation, the continuity of the total, was greater than the individual. You, me, we are nothing. Nothing. We are here for a blink of an eye. As a matter of fact, I used to be in the army. We used to go to the Memorial Day ceremonies. And I knew. I'd look around the room and we'd see, they'd show a video of the soldiers we had lost that year. And I knew, sitting around me, somebody won't be here next year. One of my friends will be on that picture next year. But every one of us, every single one of us knew that we are willing, without any question, to give of ourselves and our lives, personally and individually, for the sake and the betterment and the continuity of our future as a nation. And here too, this is a republic. This is yours. This is what you're going to give your children. This is what you have to live through now, but when you take your last breath and meet God, your children are going to continue with what you've built. So what are you building for them? Are you truly making sure that you are putting armor on them? because they will need it. They are being told that everything you believe in is wrong. They are being told that good is bad and bad is good. That night is day and day is night. And it's beaten into them until they agree. And God forbid you don't agree, you're an outcast. You are the special forces. You are the elite troops. You may not always feel like it. You may not always look like it. But you've got to wake up in the morning, put your socks on, look in the mirror, and be ready to attack the day. Because I promise you without any question, we are on a precipice in the world right now. And it is a cliff. And in one step, that is the wrong step, you're gone. Absolutely gone. But raise your hand if you can fix a leaky faucet. Raise your hand. Keep your hands up if you can hunt, shoot, and clean a deer. Okay? Keep your hands up if you can change a tire, or raise your hand if you can change a tire. Raise your hands if you can do the books for your company. All right. What you're noticing is not everybody always raises their hand, right? Some of us can do things. Some of us can't do things. But together,
we can do it.
We can all fill in each other's gaps.
Amen.
You have your strengths.
Hell yeah.
I have my strengths. When we walk arm in arm and shoulder to shoulder, we can conquer absolutely anything to the point where we can make the sea split. It's the impossibility of knowing what unity truly is. There's a reason why I named what I do Unity Warriors. Because if we are not fighting for the unification from the nucleus of our family outwards to the unification of our community, of our church, of our leaders, of our youth, everything, if we are not on the ball hardcore every single day, we have missed that opportunity completely. And living in Israel, seeing an entire nation that faces the odds that are so technically and physically impossible, being surrounded by 23 states that want to push you into the sea, that actually chant, "From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free." What do they mean when they shout that? They mean genocide. They mean there's no room for Jews in my area. That means my children right now, my beautiful babies, that I'm not there to protect them, and it kills me because they're sleeping right now on the wire. You know what I mean by the wire? I mean there's not one camera watching them. Normally Daddy's home. And normally Daddy's got his M16 next to his bed. And normally Daddy's got his radio on. And normally that radio goes off. And I'm up. And do I put my pants on? No. Run! And I'm running. And then 18, 19 other guys are pouring out of their houses. And we're all getting communication. And we're all confused. We're all tired. But we're all moving in one direction. We're all putting our lives on the line for you. It's not just my kids. I am the canary in the coal mine. What happens to Israel will happen to you. And if you don't believe it, open your Bible and sharpen yourself. Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea. And guess what happened to Bethlehem? It's fallen. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on the Christian world for allowing the birthplace of Jesus himself to fall into the hands of those who wish for genocide. And you don't even know. Because it's inconvenient. So let's keep sticking our heads in the sand. Or let's pull them out, stand up straight and tall, and retake what is ours. You got to plant that flag like it's Iwo Jima. And you got to draw a line. My daddy taught me early on, Ben, he said, you're not the biggest kid in the room. You're probably going to get your butt beat. But he said, you draw that line. If they move any even one step past that line, you look at them and you tell them, you can keep on coming, but I swear to God, I'm going to kill at least one of you. Who's first? And that's the way I feel every single day. Just stepping outside my home. I look left, I look right, I take a step outside the wire of my community, and I know, just like my friend Ari, I stood over his body. He was 6'2", he was a martial arts champion, he had a pistol that day, and guess what he was doing? He was on his phone with his back to the enemy. That's it. That was enough. A 17-year-old punk with a knife stabbed him twice, hit him in the ventricle, hit him in the lungs. Ari turned, drew his pistol, charged after the terrorist as he was dying, shot the terrorist once, 2 other guards, and a civilian shot the terrorist the other 2 times. And when I looked at Ari on the ground, and I literally can see it right now. I can watch the lifeblood draining out of him. I made a promise to myself, even more, just to remember. On a physical level, we cannot take a break when you're in the security world. We have to be right 24/7, 365. The terrorists have to be right once. And then, because I am who I am, I don't see things physically. I have to take that spiritually. And I have to say, if we are not on 24/7, 365 spiritually, call it whatever you want, the Satan, the devil, the evil influence, whatever it might be, it's going to find that little crack in your armor. And it's going to cause division in your family. It's going to cause division amongst your people. It's going to cause strife and hatred. It's going to cause you to say, oh, it's no big deal if I just do this once. Nobody's going to know. And what happens is it leads to the complete breakdown and moral degradation of society. We have seen, unfortunately, in America, people have traded freedom for chaos. Right. They have forgotten that true freedom is the ability to choose between right and wrong amongst a godly set of rules that allow for proper growth. And instead, it's anything goes, to the point that people don't even know what sex they are anymore. And people laugh, and I cry. They don't even know who they are. And we just dismiss them as freaks. They're not. That is not, at least from a Jew's perspective, Christ-like. We embrace them. And we show them a better way. We show them that they are not empty. We show them that we're willing to stand shoulder to shoulder with them, no matter what they believe, no matter who they don't believe in, no matter what God they may or may not pray to. I will stand with you. I will be your watchman on the wall, even if nobody else will. And they have to know they have somebody to turn to. And that includes every single man in this room. You have to know, just like it's suicide prevention hotline, you have somebody that you can turn to, and they will be your watchman for that night. Because I promise you, anybody here who has served overseas, you know what I mean. The stuff that goes through our minds is so sick. It's so impossible to even fathom that you wake up just sweating and screaming and crying, and you don't know what to do until you can look at your brother, who you know went through the same thing, who has been in the trenches and the pits of hell with you, who has watched his brothers get killed, and who knows what it means to send your children off to war simply because we have nowhere else to go. And I promise you, we're not going back to the gas chambers. And I promise you, every single person in here, if you leave here after this weekend, even just gaining one iota of hope and light, you can be like the moon to the sun. All you have to do is reflect. And all the stars around you that look at you, that revolve around you, will also feel that light. And that's what it's all about right now. We are battling darkness versus light. And right now, instead of being with my family, instead of lighting candles to bring the Sabbath in and to end the week, to bring light into the world, with my family, I've chosen to create a new family right now. And I am so blessed by you all that I'm here. I am so blessed that I can get up on a little stage and cry. Because the same time next week, and I hope you remember this, at the same time next week, 8 hours from now ahead of us, I won't be on this stage. I'll be in my patrol vehicle. I'll be level 3 body armored up. I'll be dressed like a freaking ninja in all black with a face mask. I'll have an M16A1 carbine that's older than all of us combined. I will be, when all of the men are in the synagogue praying with their backs to the door and their rifles underneath them. I'm praying in a different way. I don't really like the synagogue. I don't really like church. It's not my thing. My thing is to put my life on the line to make sure they can pray. My thing is to step out at 3 o'clock in the morning in the fog by myself, because I can't patrol with everybody else, and all they want to do is talk. And I don't want to talk. Guess what I want to do? I want to kill terrorists. See that? See the way I talk? I don't want to just patrol. I don't want to just keep my eyes open. I am hungry for the terrorists. Because if they come to me, and even if they shoot me, even if the first gunshots are on me, I know that 300 men are going to pour out of their houses to take care of my children. That, my friends, that is beauty. That is brotherhood. That is unity. I don't want too much time to pass because right now my children are probably about to go to bed, and I have a custom that on Friday night, if I'm not with them, I bless them remotely. And I said this blessing last night, and I'm going to say it now because it is the Sabbath for them. But I also want this blessing to be for you. It's the same blessing that Jacob gave to the sons of Joseph. And it's the same blessing that each one of us give to our sons and daughters on Friday night by the millions amongst the Jewish people. And I'm just going to put my hand on my daughter's head, and I'm going to give her the blessing first. Yisamech Elohim Kesara Rivka Rachel V'Leah. God should make you like Sarah, Rebecca. Rachel and Leah. God should bless you and keep you. God should shine his countenance upon you. God should always give you peace. When we're going to my son, who's David. You should be like Ephraim and Manasseh, the sons of Joseph. When we move on to my son Joseph now. We're going to my son Elon. Now I'm going to move on to you. I'm a member of the priestly tribe of Israel. I'm a Levite, Kohen, and I'm just going to put my hands out so where it's facing you. Yisimcha Elohim Ke'Ephraim V'Menashe, that God should always create in you to be like Ephraim and Manasseh. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. God should bless you and God should guard you and keep you. Ye'er Adonai panav elecha. God should shine his countenance upon you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lachem shalom. God should keep you under his canopy of peace always. And I really mean that with all of my heart and soul. Our traditions are a little different, but we all come back to the same common core. A good common core, not the educational common core. And I just want to say, I don't even know how much time I have left, but it doesn't matter. God bless each and every one of you. Each and every one of you with the strength to pick yourselves up and to move on another day. And if you're younger and you're here and you're watching this crying Jew boy on the platform for the first time, I want you to understand, I don't do this normally. I don't just get up on stages and cry. But I am willing to pour my heart and soul out to people who are willing to do the same. And there's nothing more manly than a man that's willing to get up amongst other men and show them their greatest weaknesses and their greatest strengths at the same time. And I only bless that each and every one of you feel that this weekend. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.